My best friend dated someone else, so I ruined his life. Leah was my girl best friend that I actually saw as a friend. Boys, take notes. She was like my little sister. My mom loved her and would even try to set her up on dates with boys her age. She was so positive that she could make you laugh at any joke, even if they were terrible. And in 10th grade, she met Blake. Blake was on the varsity basketball team, had a Snapchat score of over 2 million, and only wore clothes that showed how muscular he was. When Leah started talking to him, she tried to convince me that it was ironic, but I knew by the glimmer in her eye that she liked him, and I knew that when all was said and done, I would be the one licking her wounds clean. So I tried to convince her otherwise, but instead of listening to me, she just started texting him in secret, renamed his contact name to Mom, hid me from her Instagram story as if I wouldn't notice. But then something changed. Leah was happy, like really happy. She stopped wearing makeup and stopped dyeing her hair all the time. It was clear that he made her feel special. They'd walk through hallways holding hands and sometimes made out by the lockers. Fast forward to 4 months later, and they were still together, which meant it was Blake's longest relationship. By this point, everyone in the school was gossiping about them. Some girls even tried to test their relationship strength by sliding into his DMs. She was sleeping over at my house when he asked for intimate pictures. "Do you think I should?" she asked, her voice sheepish. When I read the texts, my stomach turned. "Darling, if you don't show me what's mine, then I'm gonna have to get off to that girl in my AP calculus class." Blake then proceeded to, in detail, describe how badly he wanted that girl, followed by how much of an amazing boyfriend he was for refraining. But before I could say anything, Leah ran into the bathroom and locked the door. I exhaled sharply, because I knew she had given in. When she came out, her face was all puffy from crying, but when I tried to ask if she was okay, she just turned off the light and went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of her hyperventilating. Blake had blocked her on everything, and in school, he was acting like she didn't exist. I didn't even have to say "I told you so" because it was obvious she already knew how dumb she was. But that night, I was proven wrong because he actually unblocked her on everything and apologized for being so immature. But as soon as she forgave him, he asked for pictures again. This time, the texts were even worse. "If you don't send more, I'll just drop the ones you already gave me into our team group chat and get them to rate you out of 10. He reblocked her on everything, and they never spoke again. Until a week later, that is. Because that's when Blake showed up to school with a gift. Plastered on every locker room door, hallway bulletin board, classroom whiteboard was a printed out photo of the photos she had sent. The girls were whispering. Guys were patting me on the back and congratulated me for getting a slice of Leah. Even some of the male teachers were ogling her, trying to look through her clothes as if they had x-ray vision. She immediately ran out to her car and drove home. For the entire month, Blake was known as the guy who bagged the baddest in the school. Meanwhile, Leah could barely even get out of bed. I tried to tell her there was nothing to be ashamed of, but she was too busy drowning in self-hatred to listen to me. And less than a month later, I was at her funeral, wearing the tie she once made fun of, because the shame was so suffocating that she thought the only way out was to take a handful of meds and abandon everything she loved. Blake was standing right across from me, with a smirk on his face. And when he thought no one was looking, he even showed his friend the photo that had started this entire thing. I was seeing red. That night, he hosted a party for her and told everyone she was the Juliet to her Romeo, and even Fate cried. I showed up at the very end, when he was plastered and everyone else had gone home. I asked him if he wanted a cigarette, and that fuckface nodded like an idiot. Suddenly, I found myself beating him until his skull was practically paint on the sidewalk. I then unlocked his phone and took a photo of him and plastered it onto all of his social media. Captioned, "Finally got what I deserve." Obviously, it got taken down pretty quickly, but not before the entire school had seen it. Lol. But teenage me forgot to account for one thing. Blake was rich, and it wasn't long before he taught me exactly how much power he had. Full story on channel, link below.